In that month alone, there were thousands of people quitting their real-life job, whether it's nurses, admins, HR, whichever it is, to play games.
And I heard about this. I think parents are also asking their children to stop schooling for a little bit to play the game.
Yeah. There's this interesting system called breeding. As you might guess, it means taking one Axie and another Axie and having, in-game they call it having woohoo time.
I see.
The literal word, the literal screen says it's woohoo time. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. So as you can see, we're in a different setting today, as you can tell with our flowers and everything.
Yeah.
So this is actually a bit different from our usual AMAs and game guide videos. And actually, why we're doing this is we wanted to be more connected with you, our community. We've seen a lot of support through our AMAs with Jared as well over the past few months actually.
Yeah, thank you guys for that.
We really thank you guys for that. And we thought that it might be different, something for a change, right?
Yep.
To be able to connect and talk to you more on even on chats, YouTube's, Discord, Twitter, especially now that we are getting on the Twitter.
Yeah.
And this is one of the ways we could give back some organic value to you.
Yep.
So without further ado, I'm Stanley. This is Jared, my partnership lead. And today we're going to be discussing blockchain and GameFi essentially.
Yep, correct. So with that, I think a great way to start off this new series that we're doing is to introduce the idea, for those that don't know, to introduce the idea of GameFi and blockchain gaming. So what is GameFi? GameFi really is a combination of two words, gaming and finance. And so the main difference between blockchain gaming or GameFi in general versus your traditional games that we all know and love is that there's a financial aspect to it. And in traditional games, we always like to say that you pay to play or play to have fun. But in blockchain gaming or GameFi, you actually have the potential to get paid to play or play to earn, we say in blockchain gaming. So how does that work? How does blockchain technology enable all of this?
One of the biggest differences is actually the ownership of your assets. I think this is the most prevalent discussion points or key points that people highlight in this discussion. So think about it this way, to explain the difference is that if you've been playing mobile games or console games or even online computer games your whole life, right? I'm sure at some point in time, some of us have spent money on these games. Candy Crush, Mobile Legends, Dota. Some of you have spent money in these games, right? And when you buy these skins or whatever purchases you have in these games, do you realize that actually you don't really own any of these purchases? Essentially, if you spend like $100 in these games, it's $100 in these games. You can't do anything with it, right? One of the interesting things is, or about blockchain gaming essentially, is that if I buy a $100 asset, I actually own it. And what I mean by actually owning it, maybe in the next week, I decide to sell this asset, which I can. That's the main difference is I can. Because in traditional gaming, I could never sell these assets.
Yeah, this would be against probably terms of service. You would probably have to do some sort of shady underground trading on the website.
That's even for games who can. But like for games who like Mobile Legends, you can't even sell the skin unless you sell your entire account, right?
That's true.
Which most people don't want to sell their account. They kind of like get married to their account. I mean, it's kind of a scenario whereby all your legacy achievements are all tied into already one asset. And
and I think for mobile gaming, it's a little bit different as well because it's kind of tied to your Apple ID, for example. You can't sell that. So
yeah, I mean, there are get-arounds already, but most people don't even bother. So it's like money spent essentially.
Yeah.
But back to the ownership of the assets. Now, what's cool about this ownership of these assets is it's not like your typical buying of a CD these days, and it's like when you buy these CDs and you sell in the second-hand market, it's 100% that you will decrease in value because it's second-hand. But there is a chance that these assets might increase in value. So how, you may ask? So what I mean by true ownership of these assets. Today, if I were to buy, let's say for namesake Pokemon, if I were to buy like Pikachu, for example, and Pikachu's worth $100 today, in let's say a month, there's some changes to the game, and suddenly Pikachu becomes the next best character in the game all of a sudden. And because of that, the price could increase from $100 to $150.
Right.
And this is very different because in traditional market, you have known if you bought an asset off the market, it is almost 100% that because it's second-hand value now, you definitely not fetch the equal value price of it, for sure. It's very, very seldom a scenario where you see an increment in price. But this Pikachu could possibly increase in price. And that actually kind of goes against what all these traditional games have been about. And what's more interesting is this. is if in the past, it is actually terms of service to for almost every game I know. You can correct me from every game I know. It's actually illegal to sell any of these assets that you own for real life money, because you have to go through like a third party marketplace, for example, Player Auction House. That's one I know, or even Facebook groups, some private groups, and etc. And I think it's really interesting that this entire space has actually went the literal opposite of that infrastructure and built something so that everyone could transact in and out of money super easily.
So this seamless process, combined with the trustless and permissionless nature of blockchain transactions, is what allows players to potentially make a good living out of playing games. And I think we saw this phenomenon in the Philippines last year. Was that right?
Yep. So I think in the Philippines last year, around May, actually we got into GameFi around that time, to be honest. And that was, I think, at its greatest market traction, where we heard of it from our online friends. When we were playing Dota, we were playing like WoW. I think we heard from our friends that there's this game called Axie Infinity. So for those of you who don't know what Axie Infinity is, you could go and check it out. Essentially, it's a simple game. I wouldn't say simple, but the UI looks simple. It's basically you owning 3 characters, and these 3 characters fighting against another 3 characters. The phenomenon is actually quite mind-blowing. Okay, and I would start off with this. In that month alone, there were thousands of people quitting their real-life job, whether it's nurses, admins, HR, whichever it is, to play games.
And I heard about this. I think parents are also asking their children to stop schooling for a little bit to play the game.
Because what they could earn in that 1 month was anywhere between 500 USD up to almost 1,500 USD, which is almost 2 to 3 times of their monthly pay, right?
Yep, I think that's more than a lot of starting pay for undergraduate, actually.
It is. And imagine this, like, the game was so accessible because it was on mobile that anybody could just play it. And because of its accessibility, a lot of people wanted to play it. And at that point of time, I knew that this was a wave or hype or movement that we wanted to be part of, because not only did that trigger the whole like GameFi scene and everything, but it enabled and opened doors to investors from like traditional gaming to actually take a peek and interest at it. Gamer friends of mine were actually telling me about, hey, how is this possible and everything. And I thought it was really interesting. When Axie first came out, I didn't think they intended for it to grow into this massive scale, because they were developing a rather simple looking game. I wouldn't say the mechanics is too simple, but at the front it looked really accessible, and people were not afraid or frightened by possibly the mechanics of like example games like Dota. It was simple. And because of that, they gained a lot of market traction. People started forming their own ideas of how money could be earned from this game. So let me reroute you back to the idea of ownership back then, right? I mentioned that you never really owned assets in traditional, and you really only own assets in blockchain gaming in some sense. Today, there's this interesting system called breeding. As you might guess, it means taking one Axie and another Axie and having in-game they call it having woohoo time.
I see.
The literal word, the literal screen says it's woohoo time. You can go and search that screen. It actually got quite famous. Everyone was like, it's woohoo time. Okay. And then after 7 days, you get a new Axie.
Right.
And what do you do with this Axie? Some people lent it out to people to play. Some people play for themselves. But if you want to make money with it, you could sell it on the blockchain.
I see.
And whatever you sell it for, it can be in Ethereum or Bitcoin or even USDT. Essentially, you've already made money.
I see.
And all these are actually allowed. It's not against terms of service. In fact, they want you to breed more of it.
Right.
They have events like breeding events and the sort of. And this is one way of making money in the game. The other way of making money is something we're all more familiar with. We call this like grinding or farming. So imagine this. If you played Candy Crush, the simplest game I could think of for everyone to relate to. Imagine every stage that you clear, you make $1.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. When you own 3 fishes, they have this mode called Adventure Mode.
Right.
Whereby you can just run through a simulation of like AIs, fighting AIs and leveling up your characters. And each time you clear the stage, you got money.
I see.
Well, this money is not like, of course, or SGD or like USD as we know it, familiar. But it was their in-game token called SLP.
Right.
Well, the difference between SLP and traditional game currency, for example, like WoW Gold. So you can go to a crypto exchange like Binance or FTX or Crypto.com, whichever you're familiar with, change it to USDT, and then cash it out into your bank account directly.
I see. So I could change that cryptocurrency into real fiat money.
Yes, you could.
I see.
And because of that, I think a lot of people in developing countries who saw this potential and where the ratio of how much they could make playing games versus what they are making currently in the country actually skyrocketed.
Right.
A lot of people started hopping on board, and this is what the phenomenon was. People quitting jobs to play games. People were hopping on this train, and it went worldwide. Really, really soon it went worldwide. Even we in Singapore caught news of it. People from the States, New York, everywhere. When I went to different events, people caught news of it. The one question that when we hear and discuss about this all the time is whether it's sustainable or not. I'm sure you have your views as well, but for me, I've been looking at the space for quite a bit. We've been in the business for a bit, right? And we've seen where the market has gone and all.
We too have the same concerns. I don't think it's quite right to be able to pay, $500 to $1,000 per player on a monthly basis. The money's got to come from somewhere. The industry is very young. If you look at GameFi itself, it's only been around for about a year. Cryptocurrency for longer than that, obviously, but gaming and cryptocurrency together has only been about a year. It's very new, even in the a new industry such as crypto, and so people are slowly starting to figure out that kind of ideal balances. We've seen some in my role as partnerships lead. I have come into contact with several very interesting projects that have good solutions to tackle this problem, and I think we'll look at some of them in subsequent videos.
So I'm sure some of you by now have been wondering, like, how is it possible that a game is able to pay like $500 to $1,000 for players each month? We really question the sustainability. But with any new space and technology, when there's nascency, I think that good innovative use cases and good technology like this will take time to develop. Proper models will eventually come into place, whereby they could possibly even surpass the traditional gaming and the way money is being made.
It's possible.
And with regards to that, we actually have installed for us next week a speaker and a AAA title as one of the most interesting upcoming games. And it's a huge topic now. Actually.
That's right. So this game we're talking about is actually called Illuvium. If you've ever played Auto Chess or Dota Underlords, it's of a similar genre. But they have some of their own innovations as well. A guest that we're going to bring over as well is Marcus Revenant Tan. So he's actually an esports, Singaporean esports player.
We will not share further than that because that's for next week.
That is for the next week.
That is for next week, guys. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. If you like what you saw today, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel and comment below what you want to see in our next video. Till then, happy gaming.